Well, hey guys, I just thought I'd show you the struggles of getting a fire started, and clearly I'm gonna have to make a few changes here. Otherwise, this isn't gonna work. Anyway, I'll get it done right. I decided to give you something to laugh at here. Well, hey, good afternoon, guys. We're finally making a little bit of headway on the fire here. This is Dave coming to you from the fire pit of Southern Maryland. It's about 4:15 on Monday afternoon. It's 45 degrees. And anyone who's done any time in the Pacific Northwest or San Francisco would call what's happening right now aggressively misting. So not quite a light rain, but it's misting enough that you can feel it hitting you. But I didn't want to sit on the porch again, and I wanted to spend a little more time with you guys. So building the fire pit is soaking wet. The bricks are soaking wet. The firewood is soaking wet. So it's a struggle to get it going, but we're making some headway here. So this wood will dry out now. It's going enough. But I just wanted to show you how smoky it was and how the prevailing winds here normally blow from me to you. And since you're on camera, you don't care. But you can see, obviously, for a while this afternoon, it was blowing right at me. But the wood is dried up enough that it's not smoking like that. The wind is it's got enough of its own strength that the fire's kind of pushing the smoke straight up right now. So anyway, it's just nice. It's a dreary gray here. If you have seasonal affective disorder, it's definitely not your day. Now, stuff like that doesn't seem to bother me. Bright sunshine, dreary gray, aggressive mist, rainy day it doesn't seem to affect me too much. I just enjoy being outside as much as I can get out here. So whether it's cold or windy or hot or slightly rainy, I'd rather be out here. I'll come over and show you what we're smoking this afternoon. We're smoking a Brick House Maduro. Nice Maduro wrapper, nice size cigar. The Brick House Maduro. Supposedly it's a more budget friendly stick. Alright, so the Brick House Maduro is lit nicely. It's a beautiful, straight down the middle cigar. If you like a medium, this is your stick. Just a hint of spice on the retrohale. Just a nice, gentle, medium blend, medium taste, medium nick hit. So it's funny, the past few days I smoked those really light, couple of light cigars, and then yesterday was that Party is Black, which is about as rough as you can get it, and now this one's straight down the middle. So anyway, the Brick House Maduro is a great middle of the road stick if you like that. Hope you guys are having a good Monday. Boy, did I have a good day today. I didn't have to run all over town. I've been running up the FedEx. I have to go to the FedEx distribution center. It's like 25 miles each way. So for the last 2 weeks, I've done that every single day, and I'm done with it. I could focus on my day trading this morning, and I had a really good day in the market. The Germans, both Sasha and Ranger, had a good day in the paddock with me. Did the grocery shopping, got it home, got everything put away. Got some things that my daughter asked for. Now we're coming to the end of the afternoon. I get to sit here with you guys at my fire with a great cigar. My wife is up in her sewing room making a quilt, a Christmas quilt that my son wanted to take home with him to Denver. My daughter is off at a beauty appointment, which when you look like her and she's 21, I don't know what you need a beauty appointment for, but I ain't asking no questions. But it all ends up with, it feels really nice and calm, and Just had a good day. I love having a good day like that. So let's jump into Lake Crazy right away. I got asked a question if I believed if the moon landings are real. Boy, is that a keg of monkeys, huh? So I really don't understand why this is still such a popular subject. It's amazing how much material there is out there on it. But I'll tell you, I firmly believe the moon landings are real. There's the spoiler alert side of this story. Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind that is something we actually did. So, and this is coming from a guy, I love a good conspiracy theory, and I'm a prepper at heart. So, you would think I might believe that it was all fake, but I don't. I've read most of the accounts of why people believe that it's fake, and I've watched most of the videos and things like there's no star field in the photos, and the flag moves when it's on the moon when it shouldn't be moving, and I just like I hear all that, but I've read the responses and listened to the astronauts themselves, and I just truly believe it's something we did. I guess the other thing I'll tell you is I was deep inside the government for 25 years. And I'll tell you, the government's not that good. There are 500,000 people working on the moonshots, and there's just no way the government could have pulled that off without somebody whistleblowing it. No way. So we'll make this segment nice and short. I got the question, do I believe the moon landings are real? I do, for a couple of different reasons. We'll just kind of leave it there. It's interesting, the two types of things I talk about, the two subjects I talk about that get the most response and the most interaction from you guys are when I make religious comments and I give out CEO nuggets, as several of you have called it. So talk about both now for a minute. So we'll do religion first, right? One of the things I said a couple of videos now is I believe God has taken his hand off of the United States and said, hey, you've cast me aside. I'll let the world have you. And a number of people said, well, kind of sure hope that isn't true. I don't think that's true yet. How the hell do I know, right? I'm just an idiot. I'm the worst, most unqualified person to make these kind of comments, by the way. I know that. But my belief is he has, in fact, taken his hand off of us and has let the world have its way with us. And it's interesting, the time cycles, the timelines that we try to live in modern America, modern USA, modern Western world are much more impatient and quick than I think God's cycles have been throughout history. So, if you read the Old Testament, because a lot of people are saying, well, he hasn't taken his hand off the USA. He's a loving God. He's a forgiving God. He's a kind God. And those are all true, but some of you need to go back and reread the Old Testament. Because really from Exodus on, it's very clear that when his people turn away from him, he gives them to the world. And all but just has them destroyed. And he does that over and over and over again. I mean, there's probably 10 or 15 cycles like that in the Old Testament. And they're long cycles. They're 40 years, 80 years. They're not, they're not quick turns. And lots of times it's meant for the current generation to die off before any improvement is seen. He may be there like from the 70s and 80s onward. That generation, which is mine, by the way, has to die off before he's willing to see any improvement. because the decisions I see in the United States over the last 20 years appall me. In the last 10 have really blown me away. I mean, the support of all the transgender crowd, um, the whole bathroom debate. We're allowing transvestites in grade schools. We're telling kids they can self-identify what gender they are, without any parental support or involvement. I mean, these are just insane things. And we've literally taken God out of every single school, education's public anyway, and a lot of private too. We've taken God out of all the legislation sessions, all the courthouses, all the houses of government. We've turned away from Him. We don't even ask Him for guidance in prayers. We start our legislation sessions anymore. And some of you came out and had some examples of where it's worse than that. It's where you're not allowed to do that anymore if you're at all associated with the government. So it's not only that we're not doing it anymore, you're now not allowed to do it. And if you don't see that as, Tinder for God to take His hand off us and say, hey, good luck. Not as individuals, but I think if we turn away from Him as individuals, He says, hey, I'll let you go. He's not I don't put a harness on you. So as individuals or as families or as communities, as nations or as a people, I think He's perfectly willing to let you wander off the reservation and walk off the cliff. It's part of the definition of free will. I think certainly as a society and as a country, we have chosen to walk, maybe run over the cliff's edge at this point. All the things I just said, I don't know if they're going to get reeled back or not. But I think sometimes we forget that the Bible also talks about that He's a jealous God. And He's a destroying God. So, anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on why I keep saying that I think He's taking His hand off the United States and said, hey, you guys want to wander off the cliff together, so be it. We'll pick up the remnant when that's all done. And I do think we have some things coming in this generation that are going to be fairly devastating to the country, whether that be economically or socially or actually physically. I don't really know yet, but I think it's coming, and it's coming in the next 5, 10, 15 years. I keep bringing up the book, The Fourth Turning, which talks about 4 20-year cycles inside the greater 80-year cycle. We're pretty much at the end of the fourth turning, and we're pretty much at the end of the 80-year cycle. The one before this ended with World War II. The one before that ended with the Civil War. There's really no good ending to the fourth turning to that. So, and I do think it's upon us. I think we're bringing it on ourselves, to be totally honest with you. Not us, not you, not me, but as a people, we're allowing it to occur. And I think we're sitting back and watching the train wreck. We're watching the train go into the wall. I'll make a statement tonight, and then we'll follow it up maybe in tomorrow's, if I can get another fireside chat going tomorrow. But I believe organized religion is one of the single greatest culprits for why religion is failing in the Western world. We'll talk about why I believe that tomorrow. So we'll talk CEO stuff for a minute. We started this kind of series of CEO talks out with somebody saying, hey, how do I get organized? And I said, you need to do a really simple to-do list, and you've got to maintain a calendar. And now I'll add to that you've got to manage your money. The way I do it is I use Quicken for my personal money, and I use QuickBooks for my corporate money. And you have to track all your money coming in and all your money going out. You have to be able to answer the question, where did all the money go? Because I have a feeling most of you don't know really. How much money do you spend on going out to eat? How much money do you spend on fast food? How much money do you spend on alcohol? How much money do you spend on tobacco and pipes and cigars? Um, is your money being spent? How's your money being spent and compared to how you think it should be spent or how you'd like it to be spent? And you just have to track everything. Everything needs, I treat my personal business, my personal finances like a business. And I can run reports and I can say, based on my 2024 spending, this is my 2025 budget's looking like. And I can look at that and say, well, I don't want it to look like that. I want it to look like something else. So I can change how I spend money. And I know a lot of people don't like talking about money, and that is a mistake. You really have to get good talking about money and debt, revolving debt payments, credit card balances, debt payoff rates, auto loans, mortgage loans. And because if you can't do that, it's going to be very hard for you to start and run a business or a side gig or get a hold of your finances and make your money work for you instead of you working for your money. And for my businesses, the horse farm is a big one. Um, every expense has to be backed up by a piece of paper, and that piece of paper has to be scanned in and stored. Because God forbid you get reviewed or audited, if you can't justify your expenses, you're in real trouble. So you have to document every expense. Every expense has to get logged into QuickBooks and has to have a receipt to back it up. And you got to balance your checkbooks. Boy, my wife sucks at that. I remember one time she handed me her checkbook when we first met and said, I'm having trouble balancing it. And well, you haven't balanced it in like 18 months. That's why. So we just kept separate accounts, and she still runs her life that way, which is fine. But I balance my accounts every month. My corporate accounts get reconciled every month, and when my tax accountant asks for the reconciliation reports, they're a click away. And we've defended every challenge we've ever had at my other companies, my big giant companies, and then my little personal ones now. But you absolutely have to get good at tracking and documenting expenses and knowing where your money went. So that's kind of the third leg of the stool right now of being organized. So it's organize what you're doing and how you prioritize it, organize your day and how you spend it. Don't let things surprise you. And then get a hold of your money and be very good at tracking the inflows and outflows of your personal life and your business life. So another thing about money is you have to protect your income source, and you can't switch to a second source of income. You can't kill the first source until the second source is stable. You can't quit your job until you have another one with a start date. And you have to leave, you need to quit your job in a professional manner such that they would hire you back should you return to them. Not that you ever intend to, but don't burn a bridge. Try to conduct yourself in a professional manner that you can be proud of in every instance. But if you're running a product line, don't kill that product line until the next one's up. The second one is up and running and profitable. Don't quit a job that's paying, even though you're unhappy with it, until you have found another job, have an acceptance letter, and have a start date. Do not put yourself into the unemployment line. I know Mark Wells Piper singing about quitting his job, And it would be a huge mistake, Mark, for you to quit that job without having another one secured with the start date. That burned you earlier in the year. It'll burn you again too if you do it again. And I'm not just picking on Mark. It's absolutely anybody. And I think the last thing CEO school will talk about today is you have to be able to address problems. You have to be able to go in and talk to whatever the problem is, do it directly. And really, a skill that I learned that really saved me was the ability to say anything you need to say in a manner that's not offensive. You can say very difficult, hard things, and you can say it directly, but you can do it with a voice inflection and a tone and a caring that the problem can be discussed, and it won't be, the way you do it won't be offensive. We can kill the message via a bad delivery. I know a lot of you guys are Trump lovers out there. That man has killed so many great messages by his delivery. That works, I guess, when you're in business or you're a billionaire sitting on top of it, but it does not work. It does not work as President of the United States. Anyway, that's enough CEO school for the night. Let's end tonight's video with we'll ping the offensometer a little bit. A couple of weeks ago, I made a comment about a lot of the YouTube videos I watch have gotten very grumpy and complaining, and I think it was taken as, I think that's wrong and you shouldn't do it. And that wasn't my point at all. I really was trying to say a lot of you have gone sour, grumpy, old, and maybe you didn't know you were doing it. And a couple of you said it's my God-given right to be grumpy and old and pissed off, and I'm going to keep doing it, which is fine. I don't care. I just wanted to say, did you know you were doing it? Do you realize how negative you're being out on the internet? The point for bringing it up this time is a number of you have said, we got into that intergenerational comment. A lot of you came back on that video and said, well, I advise my kids to do this, and I advise their friends to do that, and I told my niece and nephew to do this, and those fuckers don't listen. The younger generation doesn't listen. And I think those two things go together. If we sit around as 60-year-olds and bitch about how the world sucks and nothing's right, and the world 40, 50 years ago, it was much better. Cars were better, appliances were better, HVAC was better, people were better, and the world today sucks. And that's all they hear from you. And then you toss out a nugget like how they could help themselves. They're going to be like, fuck you, you grumpy old fuck. The only reason I bring it up is if you want to be an influencer and you want to help the younger generation think differently and probably become more productive, to be honest, I think how we act prior to dispensing the recommendation or the thought, and how we dispense the recommendation or idea, are equal components to the validity of our thought. So how we deliver it is critically important. And the reputation we've established with people before we give it, and then the actual merit of the idea itself. It's a three-legged stool as we try to help people think differently. And I think sometimes that's not thought of. We just act any way we want and then throw out what we consider a golden nugget. See, nobody listens. The world today sucks. See, there's another example. I just throw that out there for thought. So one more for the offensometer before I go. I know I've told you the story about I found a life coach, Steve Siskold. He's still out there in the world. Wonderful man. I was looking for help, and God brought me to him. And a critical teaching that actually sunk in. One of his teachings that he tried to teach me that actually got inside and changed my heart was he said, Dave, you keep bringing up the past. Every time you do that, you re-energize it. I was so upset about what my mom was like and how shitty my childhood was and yeah, blah, blah, blah. And he said, Jesus, Dave, your mom's dead. If this is still a problem, if this is still a memory that hurts, it's because you keep digging it up, reincarnating it, and turning it into Lazarus. You keep bringing this shit up from the dead and re-feel it and re-energize it, and you do that fairly often. And man, I have never been so mad at a human being as I was at my buddy Steve that day, because it was absolutely true. It was me. It wasn't the memory. It wasn't the fact that it occurred to me. The fact was, it was years or decades ago, and I kept bringing it up. I kept getting the shovel out and digging it up and reincarnating it and living it again. And once I learned to basically try to leave the past in the past, I'm not much for looking backwards. I'm not much for digging up bad memories or bad things, because I found there's no benefit in it. I was receiving no benefit in my life by reliving things years and decades in the past. That was another thing I just throw out for thought. All right, guys, and with that, let's call it a day. It sticks 60, 70% done. My fire's burning down. The rain held off. It didn't, even the aggressive misting stopped. Again, I had a great day. I've enjoyed our time again together tonight. Try to keep in mind that I don't say any of this to offend you individually, each one of you listening. It's not about you, about my thoughts, about my life, it's about my past. When I talk in these videos, it's really what I call it's my scars talking, not my brilliance. I'm not smarter than anyone else, clearly. I'm not smarter than you. I probably led a more diverse life, a more aggressive life than most of you. And a lot of it failed and left scars on me, and the scars are what are talking. I try to talk from a perspective of what has not worked in my life and how I addressed it, and what has worked in my life and why it's worked in my life, and how I employ things even today in my life. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm hoping it comes across that way. Hope you guys had a good start to the week. I hope you have a good week in front of you. I hope you're enjoying the Christmas season. I will say Merry Christmas to you, not Happy Holidays. Merry Christmas. I love all aspects of this season. I like the trees. I like the lights. I like the gifts. I like my family getting together. I understand that Christmas is the convenient marriage of a pagan winter festival slapped onto a made-up Christian event. We even moved it to make it work. Having said all that, I still love this time of year. I love this season. I love the holidays. I hope you do too. And I hope they're good for you, right? So today's the 15th? We're about 8 days away from Christmas Eve. I hope you're making a good week and a good season. Guys, may God bless you. May God bless your life. May He bless those around you in your life. May He turn His ear to hear your prayer. May He make His face shine upon you. And may you make the time to get quiet enough to hear Him talk back. Guys, I hope you had a good Monday. Have a good night. Talk again tomorrow on Tuesday. Good night, everybody.